Every once in a while, Phillip, Statler, and I are trying to figure out what the Sam heck are we going to tell you about today, and I think we got it figured out. Yeah. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. It's 8:41, and it is time to check out on money today. You know, I even put a 5-minute record on sometimes when the actual news reports that come out are so slow. It takes a little while for us to get a beat as to what's going on in the markets. That's what we do at this time with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services, who is here on the phone and probably disheveled after I dropped the phone on you and said, here we go, right?
Hey, we're ready, man. We're ready.
It's just one of those days in which, yeah, there's a lot to talk about in terms of actual hard news events. Not a whole heck of a lot. Yesterday was a down day, and boy, was it. We got as low as 1,000 points down on the Dow. 972 points at the close down. S&P was down 124.5, and the NASDAQ was down 415 bucks. All they're blaming on President Trump putting out on Truth Social a statement saying that he thinks that Powell is an absolute major loser for not keeping up with interest rate cuts to match Europe and wants to can the guy. And, you know, I mean, tests of presidential power are normal no matter which party is in power. But right now, I think basically every level head in the economy is saying, please, President Trump, don't try to test your power by trying to dump Jay Powell, right?
Yeah, exactly. That would, to me, not be a good move at this point in time. I mean, we've got enough volatility in the market. Can you imagine if he started down that track, what it would do to the markets?
Well, especially since Powell has pretty much said in so many words that if President Trump tried, well, he'd have to send in the army to get rid of him because he ain't leaving, because he considers the Fed. And actually, the Federal Reserve is a little different from the other regulatory agencies that Congress has established. Federal Reserve is an independent corporation formed by the government that really is kind of sort of separate from the government. We simply appoint the governors of it. But it is not like the other regulatory agencies that have some independence. So I always hesitate to use the word constitutional crisis, but at the very least, that one would probably be interesting. So even if I don't like what Jay Powell is doing, I really don't want to have that particular battle royale on our hands anytime soon.
No, and I think basically based on the way everything's set up, that would be a tough one for Trump to win, honestly, with the way it's set up and the way the whole thing is supposed to work. The whole idea is the Fed is supposed to be totally independent of the other arms of the government, so that it can do what it needs to do without the fear of retribution, which he's getting enough of that verbally anyway.
Your point's well taken. Yeah, for reasons outlined above, the Federal Reserve is a little bit different from the other semi-autonomous regulatory agencies that, you know, every time President Trump has tried to move them around, the head of the agency has had a hissy fit over it. They're a little bit different. You can actually defend a point with that, but the Fed is a different organization entirely, and I think it would be an intriguing experience to have it tried, but I'd rather not it happen in a time like this with all this volatility. Witnessed by the fact that one controversial tweet and all of a sudden we lose 1,000 points on the Dow. That means the S&P was down 2.4%, the Dow 2.5%, NASDAQ 2.6% respectively. It was overall just a crummy day without any substantial economic news yesterday. It's really kind of quiet out there.
It is. You know, we're getting towards the end of the month, and you know, so it starts to kind of tail off here. We do have, I was looking, and not much really this week, Dave, at all, of real interest. Now, next week, though, I find this interesting because next Wednesday, the 30th of April, we're going to get the ADP number.
Ooh, we're going to do it early this time. I hadn't even checked to see whether or not May would come out in the first full week of the month or on the first. We're going to try it early this time.
Yeah, we're going to get April's number is going to come out then. The GDP number comes out for the quarter, and then personal income comes out next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is a big day. um, PCE. You got a lot of things coming up on Wednesday, and then Friday you get the unemployment number.
Well, it's going to be an interesting week in its own right, primarily on the basis of earnings. Something I was reading, something like better than half of the capitalization of the Standard & Poor's 500 ends up reporting this week, and probably the hottest news of the bunch, albeit not necessarily the hottest company right now. Tesla is going to report at the end of the day today, after the market closes, and with all the herky jerkies on that, added to the fact that their CEO is kind of the focus of all the Democratic tirades. It's going to be an intriguing report out of Tesla this quarter, I suspect, won't it?
It will be. It will definitely be interesting to see what happens and how that looks overall. I mean, there's just so much happening with poor Tesla and Elon Musk. It would be kind of interesting to see what happens if it surprises to the upside.
Absolutely. Musk seems to be enjoying himself, but I got to imagine he sits with himself alone some nights and says, I'm really not too sure I wanted this government job. Other tidbits out there in the process. Amazon fell 3% because the Raymond James people downgraded the stock, saying they didn't see it ever making any money anytime soon off of its AI efforts, which is kind of starting to sound like a familiar refrain. United Health Group is still in problem. That's one of the reasons the Dow dropped a bigger percentage than the other indexes yesterday. They have more bad data that's driving their stock farther down. This one really hit me in the pants. Student loans in default. The government says they're going to send them to debt collection. Whoa.
Yeah, they're going to start working on collecting some of those. And it's not like they're not going to give them a shot. They're going to say they're going to get some emails out this week, or next month, sometime here shortly, giving them an opportunity to set up payment plans so there's a layer there first that they'll go through before they get sent to collections. They will have some opportunities to get on a payment plan, get on an income-based payment plan. So they'll have some opportunities to right the ship before they end up in collections.
And some of those student loan balances, you and I have discussed this on and off, especially during the Biden years. Some of those balances are astronomically high. Whether it was a good decision to take them out or not, well, make the argument one way or the other. But the bottom line is, I'm sitting there with $75,000 of the student loan, and I start getting a collection notice. That's enough to scare the bejeebers out of me.
Yeah, it's crazy what some of these, and some of it I blame on the schools, right? Because the kid doesn't understand this really a loan and not just free grant money. I had one that a granddaughter of a client of mine ended up with like $120,000 of student loans, and her degree was in dance.
Oops.
Yeah.
I've always said, and I may have even said it in this forum before, I've always been grateful to my dad. When I first went to college, they offered me a financial aid package, including work study and a bunch of student loans. And they said, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay them back till you graduate. Well, money in the early 70s was a whole lot smaller numbers overall than the rest. But my dad basically gave me a HE double toothpicks, no, you are not borrowing money. And we had our fight over it, but suddenly I'm real glad he did that. So I managed to graduate debt-free. And a lot of kids on higher dollar volumes right now are seeing some pretty doggone big numbers on that. A lot of earnings absolutely. A lot of earnings coming up, and I understand the people that make Scotch tape reported. How did our friends at 3M do last quarter?
They did. 3M, they actually had a pretty good quarter. They came in at $1.88 versus $1.77. Revenue was just a little bit more than expected, which was good news for them. But it's got them trading up today, Dave. A pretty big winner, up 6.1%. You got to like that.
Absolutely. Did they have any? I didn't hear you mention guidance. Did they give any or pull it?
They did not. No, they didn't talk about guidance anywhere in the little report that I have here. So,
okay.
yeah, but we balanced that against a company that we all know, Verizon. And Verizon, they had a good quarter financially. They beat on earnings and on revenue. They beat by 4 cents a share at $1.19. However, one of the key metrics that you look at when it comes to wireless services is subscribers. And they lost not on prepaids, but they lost on postpaid net phone subscribers for this last quarter, more than expected. And so that has them trading down today 5%.
Oh boy, just the macro thing in my brain going through in the cell phone business. I mean, companies like that. I mean, Verizon owns like 8 different private label prepaid companies to go along with it. They still get my money, but I'm a prepaid account, so I'm a non sequitur on their quarterly earnings statement because I'm not a postpaid account. I got to believe those things are not necessarily helping that metric being a valued measurement of how a cell phone company's doing anymore.
Well, I think that the one thing they like about that number is
Mm-hmm.
it gives you recurring revenue numbers that you can
Yep.
look at down the stream. And so they like that. Prepaids, you never know when somebody's going to come, prepay their phone and just automatically quit using it. So they like that postpaid number better than the prepaid number. So, um, hey, we had a couple other companies report. GE Aerospace reported. They came in way better than expected. Came in at $1.49 versus $1.27. So that's got their aerospace division up a little over 5% this morning. You add that with Lockheed Martin, the big defense contractor. They posted stronger than expected earnings as well. They earned $7.28 a share versus $6.34. So they've got a nice little bump today as well, trading up about 3% this morning.
Cool. We've got a lot more of them coming out after the close tonight. I know I see a bunch of household names on my listing for later on today. Capital One, Halliburton. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow morning as well, even though we won't have a whole heck of a lot of economic news, right?
That's right. Yeah, not much economics these days.
Well, so resetting the table yesterday. Well, in today's world, the way things go up and down, I won't even call a 1,000-point drop on the Dow a bloodbath. It's almost becoming normal, which is kind of a heave a sigh moment. But 45 minutes after a down day yesterday, how are we looking today?
Dave, I'm excited. We got a little green ink to start off the morning. The Dow is actually looking like it could bounce up about 1% this morning. S&P 500 is up 1%, and the NASDAQ 100 is up 1.14 right now. Big winner right now is the Russell 2000 up 1.25. So everything's got some nice green tint to it right now. On the other side, kind of the same thing. Silver up about 0.6% to $32.70 an ounce. Gold up substantially 0.33%, $3,437 an ounce. And then crude oil is heading that way as well, up almost 1.5% this morning, $63.32 a barrel.
That's starting to show a trend upward over the last 3 days I don't like. Overseas markets, the Asian Rim was decidedly mixed. The mainland Chinese markets were even one up and one down over the overnight hours. Hong Kong up by 0.75%. Some of the other markets off substantially, like Taiwan down by 1.6%. Can't even give you a clear picture there. Europe is almost solidly down this morning. Average European index down by about 0.2% on average halfway through the European trading day. Getting my retirement stable, down 1,000 one day, possible up a full percent the next day. That's awful confusing for somebody with too many equities in their retirement portfolio. How do I get a hold of you to stabilize my mess, Phillip?
Dave, that's why I developed the core retirement design to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. They can give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule their core retirement design. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And back here again tomorrow morning to catch up with what's going on in the morning here, up to the minute on Light. You have a good day, my friend. I'll see you then.
All right, take care.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Have a great day. I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Take care.